He just did it because, as he told the FBI later on when he was getting interviewed, why not? He had no consistent victim type. See someone in a rural area, and whoever it is. Everything he would need, he would construct kit and then bury him. He had a dozen kits all over the country.
Israel Keyes, the most elusive serial killer in modern era.
Raised in a very conservative, religious family associated with the Mormon faith, but the family kind of goes into the more extreme elements
of
Mormonism, and it could transfer over basically to a group that's referred to generally as Christian identity, which tends to be a little bit more on he was explicitly raised in a white supremacist communities, both initially in Utah. He was also raised in Washington, Oregon, and they moved around quite a bit.
Right.
And they lived off the grid. At one point, he was raised essentially out in the woods in a small cabin, large family, and no running water, no electricity, no toilets. I mean, basically living like people did in the 1860s.
Right.
And this is where he became desensitized actually to violence, because him and his siblings had to go out and hunt.
Right. That's how they ate.
That's right.
So that usually in the serial unaliving world, a lot of times it starts with
harming animals.
Harming animals and arson and fire.
Yeah.
And those are some of the common denominators amongst people that are wired this way, is they usually start with animals. Didn't Dahmer start with animals?
I haven't researched that.
I think Dahmer started with animals, and so one of the common denominators is the unaliving of animals. And so they had to do it too. He didn't necessarily do it to be a psycho. He did it because that's how the family ate.
That's how the family ate.
But it still desensitizes you.
It desensitized them. And later on, when he was speaking with the FBI, he referenced specifically the visceral thrill he received by skinning the deers.
Yeah, because you have to understand, there's you catch them, you unalive the animal, and that's that doesn't where it stops. Then the gruesome part comes, and then you have to skin it and quarter it and make it available to eat, and that's very, very visceral, if you will.
Yeah, that's where he developed this fascination with that entire process.
Right. Dahmer, when you eventually look at his stuff, Pete, same thing. So I watched the documentary.
Okay.
Same thing, except his dad in Dahmer's situation, his dad introduced him into the hunting aspect of it and encouraged him to do it. Little did his dad know that he was going to turn into what he did.
Sure.
But, so we're in Utah. We're in the Mormon subsect. They move off the grid. By all accounts, does he have a normal childhood other than...
No, he was homeschooled, very little interaction with people outside of the family.
And let me ask you a question, Pete. How do you homeschool if you don't have internet? I mean, did they have the way just...
Essentially wasn't told,
Yeah.
This is just...
a loophole within the homeschooling technology, because at that point your mom would have to have books and do tests and things like that, and I'm sure she didn't.
I mean, it's just these are small communities that tend to be on the very extreme fringes.
Right.
And so he grew up in that particular environment where he was comfortable in a rural setting, familiar with those type of environments.
No amenities.
Certainly no amenities. Later on, when he was involved in his stake, that's where he would watch the targets of his hunting, essentially. He'd be out in the woods for a couple of days, keeping an eye on him. He wouldn't break cover. And
by normal people's, that would be like you. You and I couldn't survive in the woods for 3 days.
Yeah, I'm from L.A.
Right. I need air conditioning, some food, a TV, whatever. So we got Israel Keyes. He's born in 1978, Utah, moves around. He comes from a large... Did we ever find out how many siblings he had?
Large family.
Large family. They are borderline white supremacists,
living off the grid. He was essentially the black sheep in the family that ultimately rebelled. And so towards the latter part of his teenage years, right before his adulthood, he declared his atheism, which of course caused a huge problem in the family.
Sure. I mean, there are these really, really stringent Mormon/Christians, and he wants to say, okay, I don't believe in that whole temple of God. And
so he went the atheist route and then developed an interest with Satanism.
So this is probably 18 when he can finally leave the flock. He's now telling mom and dad, okay, I'm an atheist and praise Satan. Which they're like, get the hell out.
That's right.
Get the hell out of here.
The family shunned him, and he
right.
was expelled from their entire little community.
So he goes from that community, wherever that may be. He might have been in Washington.
From there, he goes into the Army.
So he goes into the Army.
Yes.
Now, a lot of times when you don't have any options, what do?
Certainly, you go into the military, and he...
and most of the time, Pete, military can clean you up.
Really?
Like most of the time, military can get you back on track.
Yeah, I've had numerous interactions. I was the coordinator for the Veterans Reentry Program. I had interactions with literally hundreds of veterans.
You're very familiar with that.
So, yeah, it's a story that I've come across frequently. Of course, none of them turned into these kind of...
No. They actually, it did what it was supposed to do.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But...
So he goes into the Army.
Prior to the Army, he has his first incident.
Okay, so gets is it deflocked or from the family?
Yes.
Deflocked.
Essentially expelled.
See you later. You believe in Satan. We're hardcore Christians, Mormon, weirdos, whack jobs.
And like I said, the Christian identity sect, I don't mean to imply normal Christians. It's someone on the far extreme of the spectrum.
A fringe. Get out of here. Prior to the Army, our first incident happened.
He had been fantasizing throughout his teenage years as his interest in Satanism came in. He wanted to participate in a ritual unaliving.
And that's what his testimony was to the feds.
Later on.
So he testified that, okay, after I got thrown out of the family.
Subsequent to his arrest, he made a series of statements to the federal authorities. And in doing so, he documented his involvement throughout the course of his history. He identified this as the first of his assaults. Now, it was a group of kids inner tubing down a river.
Oh, so that's who he had his eye on.
He's deemed to be highly methodical and random, but the randomness was a function of how he later on decided he was going to thwart investigatory tactics. He was also very opportunistic, so he just happened to be there.
Right. See some kids tubing.
Where's
this at?
In Oregon.
In Oregon.
See some kids, right? Whitewater rafting type of stuff.
Absolutely.
And
the things that Oregon kids do.
That's right. So the last tube was a young girl, never identified by name, 14 to 18 years old. So she's like kind of broke off from the pack. Right. So she's like a little bit far behind.
Kind of lost the pack a little bit.
Sure.
So she's kind of the odd man out.
So he
a ways back.
He's able to snatch her up. Goes down the water,
right out of the river.
Right out of the river. Pull her up, and he drags her to essentially a porta potty that was out in the woods. Takes her out there, ties her up, and he brought his knife kit. He's had this whole ritual set up, and he restrained her. We'll say at one time sexually assault her,
right?
And from here on out, we'll just call it assault. So he assaulted her, and later on when he spoke with the authorities, he said that he was too timid to unalive her. Like he couldn't complete the ritual. He ultimately let her go.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
But she never, because...
She did not report it?
She did not report it?
She did not report it.
Man, how do you not? I mean...
it's difficult for
either
a teenage girl or a young woman.
Yeah,
right? I mean, so yes, she was 14 to 18. That's what he's identified her as.
Basically got a pass on that one because she didn't report it.
She didn't report, and he had no idea what her identity was. She's just some inner tubing girl.
Wow. So incident number one
is the
tape.
Satanic ritual that he wasn't able to complete.
Right.
Because he, quote unquote, was too timid.
Now, at the end of the day, his intentions were
that was certainly
to unalive
yes,
her.
And he said after that, he resolved he was never going to do that again.
Meaning, if I'm going to take it that far, I'm going to take it to the full gimmick. So, inner tubing's number one. That's prior to joining the Army.
Now, he pivots into the Army, where he served from 1998 to 2001, received an honorable discharge. During his stay in the Army, however, there were two instances.
While in the Army?
While in the service, yes. On leave in Egypt, he assaulted a woman. And then on leave in Israel, he assaulted a second one. So there's two women in the Middle East. The first one was an escort that he assaulted. The second one escalated to just a college girl. He just snatched up some college kid. But again, women he wasn't able to identify by name, but these are individuals that he identified to the authorities as he was demonstrating his progression, his escalation.
And talking about the timeline as to who, when, where, what, and how, as far as 1, inner tubing girl, 2, Egypt girl, 3, Israel girl. Now, is Egypt girl and Israel girl, were they unalived?
No, these are still...
They're just assaulted.
Yes, assaulted.
So he's still at this point has not unalived anybody. He's just a serial assaulter.
Serial assaulter at this point.
At this point.
Yes. He completes his tour. He's honorably discharged in 2001. And this is where he begins the unaliving.
The 01.
Now, just so we frame things correctly, most of the information comes through the FBI reporting subsequent to his final unaliving. And it's why her event is significant. And this is a young woman named Samantha Koenig. She's the one who worked in the Common Grounds coffee shop.
Yep. She worked in this little shed in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yes.
And it's literally the size of like a toll booth.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit bigger. And it was a coffee shop.
Yes.
A drive-through coffee shop.
Yes. So he gets out of the Army. He's living in the state of Washington. 2001 to 2007, he's living in Washington.
Okay.
In 2007, he moves to Alaska. So now the principal events occur while he's in Alaska. This is how we get our narrative. And so it's much later, 2012, where the incident involving Samantha Koenig came up. And now what's interesting about Keyes is by the time that event occurred, he had a methodology he had established where he did not target individuals either in his primary location where he lived, and he was supposed to never use his vehicle. Now, he ultimately broke both rules with her.
When you talk about geographically profiling, that means not
operating in the particular areas. And he made a deliberate decision. One, he was going to disrupt the profiling of target him by not having a specific geographical area.
In and out, kind of.
In addition to becoming a serial unaliver, he was involved in a series of criminal categories. Like he started out with burglary, escalated to arson, escalated to bank robberies, escalated to the assaulting of women,
kidnapping,
and then escalated to the unalivings. And oftentimes he began utilizing the travel to facilitate a bank robbery. And while he was there knocking off the bank, on the side, he snatched some person up.
And then fly to Vermont.
Well, yeah, because he's out of Alaska. And so what he would do is he would travel. Well, what made him, several things make him unique. One, the lack of a geographical profile. Two, the fact that he had no consistent victim type.
Right.
The guy from New York was focusing on escorts. He preferred short women. Like there's commonality where he was just completely
all over the road. That's
where it becomes random. He would see someone in a rural area, and whoever it is. What distinguished him, in addition to his efforts to thwart the ability to create this profile to target him, he created what were essentially, at one time, murder kits.
Right.
Where he would take
unaliving kits.
Yeah, a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket, fill it with all of the
everything
necessary
that he
gear.
would need.
It'd be a firearm, a suppressor, a rope,
knife,
Drano, knife, everything he would need. He would construct a kit and then bury them. He had a dozen kits all over the country.
So he would travel to wherever. Mm-hmm. He would get these unaliving kits, bury them.
Yeah.
And then the next time he went to that area, he had already an established. He didn't have to go buy this stuff.
That's right.
Because a lot of times they get you on they'll get to go to Home Depot and look at the surveillance and see that you. So if there is none, because you bought that
3 years ago,
450 miles away, because you rented a car into Chicago, drove down to Kentucky, bought a couple of these kits, buried them in a state park somewhere that you knew where it was, underneath the third tree by the fourth bush, 4 foot down. All you need at that point is a shovel. Mm-hmm. You go get your kit, and then this kit is virtually untraceable, no matter what type of that you leave behind, because they cannot forensically find out where that kit came from.
Yeah, that was part of his.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, part of his.
I mean, I'm not trying to.
He's been characterized as a genius, a mastermind. And look, he was clever, but he was methodical. And it was these type of efforts to thwart. So now he's able to travel without having to carry anything on him. Like with respect to the Vermont, with the married couple.
Yeah.
Well, that was a kit that he had buried. That was in 2011. He buried that kit 2009. So that was sitting there for 2 years.
Yeah.
And so now, in a rural community, there may be one hardware store in the area. Right. So if something were to happen, obviously the detective, if they have no leads, they're going to go there and
Cops
say,
go and
the last 3 weeks, anybody that bought rope.
Nope.
Because they find the rope on the people.
And it was Farmer Jones who lived down the road. That's the last rope buy. Farmer Jones. And Farmer Jones is not a suspect.
Sure. And so that's why he was able to thwart the ability to develop those kinds of leads. And by having the stuff already situated, he called it his insurance policy. And so whenever he would have the need to engage in this court of conduct, he'd fly to wherever he's going to go, knock off the bank, knowing that, okay, well, I got a kid up in New York. Let me shoot up into New York. Going to upstate New York.
I got a pre-buried kit from 2 years ago.
Yes.
Let me shoot to York. Let me get that out of the way.
Get that out. That's
get
right.
my craziness out of the way, which would be an assault with an unaliving. And boom, fly back out. Meanwhile, with regards to the world that we live in and the things that we talk about, most people don't distance themselves hundreds, if not thousands of miles from where they do the crime. And last week was our first time that we had a guy that just went district to district.
Yes. And
this guy's going
not just geographically distance, but a temporal element where he's putting the kit there in 09 and utilizing it in 11.
Has there been? I've never heard of that.
Yes, and so the authorities have already recovered 4 of the kits. Well, 3 of them the authorities recovered, and then a 4th, a independent journalist, podcaster,
found it.
Like they went through the FBI has there's so much interest in the case that there's a Freedom of Information, essentially
FOIA Act
database where people can access the information instead of submitting 100 different requests. Just go right to the database. And so people pulled the information off and they started
looking at where he had told FBI where his kits were. Yeah. And so
the 4th one was discovered by independent journalists and a podcaster. Yes.
So we go to, he's living in Washington. We're going to go to the coffee.
We're in Alaska.
He moved to Alaska. And he has the coffee, Common Grounds, a little coffee drive-through shed.
It's essentially a kiosk.
And if you watch Landman or not, but Landman is this really popular show, and it's about the oil workers in Texas and how they wake up real early in the morning and they have these drive-through coffee shops.
Oh, okay.
It's very much modeled like Common Grounds of where our unaliving at this point. The first one he takes responsibility for, or the first one they forensically get. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about a couple prior, but we got that through his testimony. This is the one that this is kind of victim 1
from the investigation. And then they work backward.
Right. They reverse engineered it once they got him in custody, but the one that they initially caught him for would be this one here, Samantha.
He's over a decade into engaging in this course of activity. Initially, he was just going to rob the place. And he, according to his statements, she was an attractive, young 18-year-old.
Got a picture of her.
Pretty brunette.
Yep.
That's her when she was a blonde. And he reported that when he saw her, he couldn't control himself. She was so pretty.
So initially, I'm going to the Common Grounds coffee drive-through shop. I'm just going to rob it, get some cash, sees how attractive she is. I can't help myself.
Yeah, and so these guys become fixated and they start obsessing. And so he initially was, Anchorage in the middle of February is not going to have much traffic.
No.
Like you go to where you're going and, so he was
you're staying in your car. Yes. You're not out on foot too much. Like It's brutal up there.
And there's no one's going to be suspicious because he was wearing a ski mask.
Yeah, and that's what people would wear that are walking outside.
That's right.
Because it's 5 below zero.
Yeah, they provided him with that excuse. So he was able to monitor the situation, see that there's 18-year-old girl. She works by herself. She does the overnight shift, and she locks it up when she finished.
So not only does she do the overnight shift, but she's the one that locks the door at night, might have the bag of money to take to the bank, but she's in a very vulnerable situation, when you're just...
Well, overnight meaning in the sense that she does...
Now, Pete, did he pre-scout her?
Yes.
Oh, so that's something we need to get into. So this wasn't really a random. This was a pre-scouted.
Yeah, well, yeah. And so, remember, his rule was never to... He didn't have a problem with the robberies in the general area. It's the snatching someone up and then unaliving them. He's like, he waited for that to be traveling out of state. But in this one, he just needed to come up on some money because he was getting ready to go on vacation with his daughter. So they're getting ready to go on a 2-week cruise. So he's like, okay, I'm going to knock off this.
Oh, so he's getting ready to go on a 2-week cruise with his daughter.
He needs a little cash withdrawal. He needs a cash withdrawal.
Knock off common grounds.
Knock off the coffee
shop. But
shop.
while I'm doing that, I can't help myself because she's so attractive that I have to go through my gamut of baggage.
Yes, and so now, remember, the 2 rules are don't engage in discoursive conduct in his geographical area and never use his own vehicle.
He broke both of those.
Yes.
And so all the ones that he had done where he had gone geographically very far away, he had the kits. He didn't use his own car. He had a rental car. Like you said, flying to Chicago, go to Kentucky. That's some of his things. Those were some of the reasons why he was able to stay aloof. Now he breaks his first 2.
Yes, he breaks the first 2.
Geographic and
personal vehicle.
I use my personal vehicle.
So, and he approaches the Common Ground coffee shop and just a bubbly teen. So he pulls out the firearm. Says, hey, obviously this is a robbery. And he has her get down on her knees. He scouts out the entire area. He directs her, hey, give me the money. So she goes, and he's a cash register. Now, keep in mind, there's surveillance cameras inside.
Right. We have them right here.
She produces the money for the guy. He then jumps in, ties her up, gags her essentially so she's not able to scream. Tells her, hey, look, he led her to believe he was kidnapping her for the purposes of securing a ransom.
That's what he's telling her.
That's what he's
Samantha.
telling. Yes. So now she leaves with him and walks out into the truck and he drives off. They're actually driving around for a little while in his truck and he's allaying her concern. Like this scumbag already knows what he's going to do, but he's trying to keep her mollified mind. Essentially. Right. And so,
which is even like, oh.
Yeah, just, what's shocking. Look, like I said, all the other ones were bad, but this is like
this
18-year-old.
This guy's a dick.
What a fuck. Yeah.
And this guy's got a dad and a mom and brothers and maybe a boyfriend and just,
Well, she was living with her father. And yes, she had a boyfriend. This becomes part of the story. And so he snatches her up and he decides to take her back to his property. Now, his property has a shed. He's living with his girlfriend and his 10-year-old daughter.
Right.
So he takes her to the shed, ties her up.
On his property.
On his own property. So now he decides he is going to ransom. So he sends to deflect attention from the investigation. It's obviously going to commence. He sends a text to the boyfriend because earlier her and her boyfriend Dwayne had gotten into
a little dust up.
A dust up because she'd been accusing him of being unfaithful. Goofy teenage shit. And so
we both said the same thing. Teenage shit.
So the boyfriend was supposed to pick her up when she got off work. And so she sends him, hey, they're in the middle of this dust up. She's going to pick up one of her friends is going to pick her up. She needs time to think about the situation.
So she sends him that text.
She sends that text.
Hey, listen, my friends picked me up. Don't worry about it. Blah, blah, blah. You're a piece of shit. You're cheating on me and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, he doesn't show up to pick up.
So
he was told not to.
But then he starts texting her later on, like, hey, did you get home okay? What's going on? And she, no response. So then he goes over to her home to talk to the father. Now, of course, the father's concerned. He's raised her since she was 2 years old, essentially, since like a little kid. And they were very close. For her to just up and leave without letting the dad know.
She had no problems with ops.
Yeah, like so he starts contacting. No response. Keys has her phone. And so he says, well, what he needed from her was the debit card so he can go make cash withdrawals.
Her debit card.
Well, she'd have it on her. She had it in her boyfriend's car. So now Keys leaves her tied up, goes to the boyfriend's place, breaks into the truck, Now, while he's doing that, the boyfriend comes out and there's a confrontation between them. He's just thinking it's just a regular
burglary.
Some scumbag trying to break into my car.
Right.
Runs the guy off, but Key's got the debit card.
Key's got it.
Yeah, so the boyfriend's dealing with the missing girlfriend, didn't put too much, he didn't record it. Like,
just ran off some scumbag, tried to jump in the truck, get the hell out of here. Doesn't realize there's not a 2-and-2 connection there.
That's right. Now
because he's frantic trying to find Samantha along with her dad.
Yes.
Right.
And so now in the morning, the father and the boyfriend report missing person. But now after Keys gets the debit card, he gets the information from her and he assaults her again. He assaults her at this point. Okay. And prior to doing so, he had like this whole little ritual where they had a glass of wine, he drank, he smoked a cigar. And
on the prior essays.
I know, on this one here, he's got her in the shed.
Oh, okay. So on this particular assault with Samantha, he has this whole ritual where he smokes a cigar, drinks a glass of wine.
And he's telling her what he's going to do and that she's not going to be leaving.
Oh.
And so like the amount of fear in this 18-year-old girl at this point is just profound. It's just,
because up to this point, she probably thought because he'd driven her around a little bit and she probably thought it was just he's going to drain my account, but he hadn't indicated
any physical harm,
right?
And so there's that moment of terror, not a moment, but how long the period was, but it was this terror for this poor girl. And of course, we know this now because he was later on recounting it. So he goes through his ritual,
smoking a cigar, drinking wine,
assaults her, and at one point, he turns around while she's not looking, takes his knife, stabs her in the back, asphyxiates her. She's now deceased. He rolls her up in whatever he's going to conceal her in and leaves him in the shed. At 5 o'clock in the morning, he wakes up his daughter, and they take off to go on their 2-week tour.
On their cruise. He
comes back. Now, remember, this is in Anchorage in February. He said now when he returned, and he went out to the shed, he was surprised that she looked as lively as she did.
Probably because of the frigid temperatures, right? Because that preserves, doesn't it?
Yes.
At what point do you think he switched in his mind that he was going to turn this from a ransom to just unaliving?
Oh, I think you missed the timeline. He unalived her. Remember, he initially kidnapped her in February of 2012.
Right.
Took her to his shed, tied her up, turned up the radio to camouflage. She couldn't scream loud enough. And
assaulted her,
unalived her, goes on vacation, comes back, discovers 2 weeks later.
Oh, that the body looks uncannily good.
So he said he engaged in necrophilia with her.
As if it get any worse.
It shouldn't get any worse. It just couldn't get any worse. This guy's fucking horrible. Right? No, it gets worse.
Okay, give it to me, Pete.
And now he has the idea, you know what? I'm going to make a ransom demand to the family. Now, the father is going crazy. Now, for 2 weeks, he mobilized the entire city of Anchorage. There's 300,000 people looking for his girl.
For 2 weeks. Because Homeboy's been gone on a cruise for 10 of those days.
Strangers have donated shit. They raised, tens of thousands of dollars for a reward.
They've scoured probably with foot.
Everyone's looking for this poor girl. So he comes back from his vacation, discovers that she's surprised, relatively in still good shape.
Yep.
Engages in his necrophilia and decides he's going to issue a ransom demand. So what he does is he gets some makeup to the corpse, dolls her up.
So that picture that
she's already been unalive for 2 weeks.
So that picture that we're going to show, or that we showed already, the picture that we showed, that was from...
He took a fishing line, sewed her eyelids open, braided her hair, put on her makeup, and then took a photograph of her...
With the paper.
Today's
paper.
Yeah, today's paper. So he was able to demonstrate here that she's alive and this is what I want. He makes issues of demand for tens of thousands of dollars. So he takes the photograph and a note. He old man, manual typewriter, types out the ransom demand on the back of the photograph, a black and white photo, puts it in a Ziploc bag, puts it in a location out in the woods, sends a text to her boyfriend, say, hey, go out to this,
woods,
third tree behind the
Right.
old picket fence or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
And follow the instructions. He goes and retrieves the
Boyfriend goes and gets the ransom.
and of course the father at this point. They get the information. She's alive.
Yeah, because I got the picture. That is the most, Pete, out of everything we've talked about.
This one's terrible.
Out of everything we've talked about, Gilgo guy, the Golden State guy, none of them took an unalived body, used fishing line to keep their eyes open, put makeup on them, propped him up with the day's newspaper.
Yeah, propped up against the wall, so she's looking up against the wall, and then he holds the newspaper to establish, a contemporary photo. This is the proof of life issued to the man in conjunction with the ransom.
That's next level shit.
Next level.
I mean, my Lord.
And so, of course, the father follows the instructions.
Well, and they have no idea to not think that is, because the picture that we showed, and we'll show it again, it just a black and white, technology they had back then, you would not know any difference.
He deliberately did it in black and white.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because the contrast.
Right.
Camouflage. And so, when she first,
but as a parent, you're looking for any sign of any hope of
there's desperation.
And so that
point.
picture's a million, but you're like, oh my God, we're good.
So the father was able to take the money that was raised, the tens of thousands of dollars that were raised for
to find her
the award,
right,
for information leading to her return, took that money and deposited it into the bank account, her bank account, because he's got the debit card.
So is that what the instructions were?
Yeah, deposit the money into Samantha's account. Now, the FBI, of course, is now aware of this information.
Oh, they're laying on.
They're waiting on this.
Yeah. This is really not very smart.
No, yes.
As brilliant as he's been in other scenarios that we've talked about, the kits and stuff like that, which I want to say brilliant because that makes a person, but, the maniacal pre-meditation that you never have heard of before. Yeah. Is now all of that gets wiped away because now you're having to put it in her account. The feds are laying on it.
Sure.
I mean, they're on it.
And so now he's able to do withdrawals in Alaska because he's wearing the ski mask. Well, he can go up. They know that it's some guys withdrawing money.
Right.
But, you go, you make the withdrawal, you leave. By the time the authorities get there,
right.
He's already gone.
Right. And I don't know that they had the technology to have to put that routing number and that ATM number in a system that would alert you immediately that it's me. I don't know that we had that.
I'm sure that it would have triggered the authorities quick. The problem is it's just a large geographical area.
Right.
And you don't know where.
And it's very rural.
Well,
I mean,
yes.
Anchorage is not like, New York City where, you're talking about, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rural miles.
Yeah, so then he leaves Alaska.
Does he go and get the money out?
He's withdrawal, but you're limited in the amount you can withdraw. You can't go out and take.
Right, like $500-$600.
You're limited to your the withdrawal cap,
a daily cap
for presumably an 18-year-old with maybe a couple of thousand. She doesn't have.
Right.
Not,
Now, what do we know the amount?
We don't know what the cap is.
We do. Do we know it? The dad deposit.
It was somewhere in the neighborhood of around $30,000.
$30,000 that he'd put in her account.
Yes.
That they had raised to the community and stuff like that.
Yes.
And so, but like you said, he can't get all 30.
No, so he has to make the withdrawal. So now he flies from, let's say, from Alaska down to California, and he goes into Arizona, rents a car, or he's got a Ford Focus, and so he starts making withdrawals. But now he's wearing a disguise, but he can't wear a ski mask.
Not in Arizona.
Not in Arizona.
Right.
So now he's wearing a disguise, and he goes and he does the withdrawal, gets in the car, drives off, and he stops, does another withdrawal, goes from Arizona to New Mexico. From New Mexico, he's doing withdrawals, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. Now the FBI knows.
Right, but you got time.
Yeah, you don't know where he is. He's somewhere off the 10 corridor, essentially.
Do they have intel on the kind of car he's driving?
Well, this is where it gets interesting.
You mentioned a Ford Focus.
Well, yes. The mistake he made, well, obviously all of this is horrible, but the mistake he made was on one of them, he allowed for the for the car to appear in the background.
Yes. So as he's out here going, and the camera's shooting here.
Like over his shoulder or whatever, they got a shot of the car.
They got the Ford Focus.
The
idiot wasn't smart enough to pull it down the street a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so then
that's yes. Hiccup one.
Yes, right. So now they're looking for a white Ford Focus with someone in and around the 10 corridor, essentially. Right. Arizona, New Mexico, all the way out to Texas.
Right.
He has mechanical problem with the car. Right. And so now he takes the car up to, let's say it's a budget rental car. Right. He's 2 states over. So he takes the car over to get it swapped out. They give him another Ford Focus.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Just
out of happenstance.
Right. Just out of coincidence. They give him a white Focus. They give him a
white Ford.
So the Feds still got the hunt on for the white Focus.
Yes.
Even though they know that they don't know about the car trouble. It just happened.
Yes.
That was a brilliance of, that's a
stroke of luck for the authorities. And so while he's in Texas, he's pulling over these little roadside hotels. One of the things that he did is he didn't leave electronic trails, in that he would stay at like roadside motels where you could just pay cash.
Right. Be like, $81 a night.
Yeah.
40, and you're like, here.
There you go. And you just give him the cash as opposed to having to leave.
Sure.
Like if you fly from Anchorage to Chicago, he could leave his cell phone there, get a burner phone. So as far as his phone indicates, he's still in Chicago. He rents the car and then takes off and then comes back. And so that was part of his methodology to support the ability to create a profile of the individual. They can connect him to other unalivings, and they're not going to be able to follow his movements. But in this particular instance, they know about the white Ford Focus. He's staying the night at the hotel, and an astute Texas trooper sees the vehicle.
There's a bolo on a white Ford Focus.
He watches the car. Out comes the guy. Out come keys. Gets in the vehicle. Drives off. Trooper's following now at the point. And he's looking for any pretext to pull the guy over.
Right.
And at one point, Keys ends up going like 2 or 3 miles over the speed limit. So the cop comes over, trooper, pulls him over. Keys, of course, is unaware of what's going on.
Sure.
Forgets his ID, Alaska driver's license. But there's been a bolo.
Right.
Looking for somebody from Alaska who's
on the Samantha deal.
On the 10 corridor doing bank withdrawals.
Right. That comes up.
Because now there's a nationwide look. Be on the lookout type of a notification.
Yeah.
They're looking for the Alaska guy in and around the 10 freeway.
Driving a white Ford Focus.
White Ford Focus, making withdrawals on this missing 18-year-old's credit card, or debit card, excuse me. And so he sees he's from Alaska. He's playing it off like, hey, everything's fine. He calls in backup shows up. They arrest the individual. The officer searches the car incident to the arrest, and he finds money from a bank robbery he had committed that had ink on it from the explosive pack.
So while he was fleeing from Samantha with her card in a white Ford Focus that started in Arizona, he also knocks off a bank. In that
it didn't stretch. Yeah, so he's in the midst of a bank robbery run.
Right.
He's also draining this account.
Right. While having just unalived somebody in Anchorage.
Yeah,
Samantha.
This is a few weeks now back.
Sure, right.
He's just at this point completing the offense by extracting the money from the situation. Right. And so he does the bank robbery and he's doing the bank withdrawals, gets pulled over in Texas. The authorities discover Alaska driver's license. They search the car, money tainted with the dye packs.
Probably her debit card.
Got her debit card. Got the disguise the individual is using to do the bank robbery, to do the bank withdrawal.
Well, I mean, they got him.
They got him dead to rights.
They got him dead to rights. Is that what took him? Is that inevitably what?
No, at this point, they take him into custody. Right. And now the FBI comes in. Now, normally this would be a federal case.
Right, because it would be a state case.
It'd be a state case involving him doing what he did with respect to poor Samantha. However, the feds were able to develop a jurisdictional hook because he's actually on a bank robbery spree.
Through multiple states.
And he's in the process of draining the account, the money from Samantha's account.
Yeah, so he's doing grand theft of X amount of dollars a day from her account while crossing state lines.
And bank, it's essentially a
bank fraud.
It's bank fraud.
Right.
And I'm sure they could hook in like an identity type theft.
Sure.
They have permission to use that stuff.
While
robbing banks and So these are all jurisdictional hooks that the authorities were able to utilize.
And state compared to federal levels, whole different ballgame.
Well, the resources are, particularly in Alaska, the FBI is going to be able to come in. And so now the FBI, of course, steps in, takes over the case. And they are able to charge him federally because the homicide was incident to the federal offense. Like, most homicides aren't prosecuted as federal. There has to be a federal interest.
So we got the feds. They roll in here.
The feds roll in.
They tell the local guys, we got it.
They're working in conjunction with the authorities.
Right.
At this point. And so when they get him back to Alaska, and the authorities start confronting him with the evidence. Because at this point, they think she's perhaps still alive. Like they're trying to save her.
They haven't found Samantha yet, have they?
No.
So while he's in custody in Anchorage, they still haven't found Samantha.
It's sort of like, where is she? Unbeknownst to them, she's, of course, been unalive several weeks ago. And after he sent the proof-of-life photo, he dismembered her, chopped her up, and disposed of her in a frozen lake. And so at this point, once he realizes the jig was up, he told the investigators, hey, look, I'll give you all the details. But what I want is an Americano, peanut butter Snickers, and a cigar.
So I'll sit here and tell you all the details, where you can potentially find her, what I did.
Yeah, he said, she is unalived. I'll give you the details, but I need these things, and we'll have a conversation. And this is where he starts the psychological manipulation. He begins with the authorities.
Right. Usually they don't start with the authorities, the psychological manipulation, right? That's how sick this is.
Yes, and this is why.
So the feds were probably like, no problem.
Of course. At this point, they'll go give him whatever the hell he wants. He indicated that she's not the only one.
And that's how they went and found Bill and Lorraine, what we're going to get to.
We're going to get to them,
but, so they were actually.
Under horrible circumstances.
But so the feds and everybody find out about Samantha.
Yes. So now they got him in the interrogation.
Right.
And he starts laying out his conditions. One, he wants his snacks before the meeting. His concern was he's going to provide the information. He didn't want it released publicly because he didn't want it to harm he didn't want his 10-year-old daughter to become aware of the gruesome facts.
Oh, sorry, but I mean.
Well, so of course the authorities agree. Like, okay, we're not going to disclose the information. Like, they can charge in public in a document, but they're not going to identify this information.
The information he's given now, which is really not anybody's business because it's still an active, open investigation. Yeah, and maybe the family.
At some point, there's going to be those type of disclosures, but at this point, he's trying to control
the narrative.
Because ultimately, like the other two circumstances, the New York individual, the California individual, these are just guys who, for them, the physical assault isn't the purpose of what they do. It's the control and the institution of terror.
Power.
Yeah.
And you know what the common denominator so far, this is our third, is that.
That's right.
It's come in different shapes and sizes. Rex, obviously, then obviously the Golden State guy last week, and now Israel. But in some way, shape, or form, every one of them had to exert that manipulative power. Yeah, like it's like almost it's a prerequisite to be in this business, so to speak.
Well, yeah, that's the sickness that drives the conduct. Like when I was in federal prison for a couple of decades, and I met numerous men who had a lot of mob guys. Dominic from Philly had 16 unalivings, and Henry from New York had 20 unalivings, but none of them were like these. None of them were like that.
They were all transactional.
They get a call in from their their cap calls them in and says, "Hey, we got a headache out in Jersey. Go make
take
that
care of it.
Go make that headache go away."
And Antonio goes down there and makes
Henry
it go away.
goes down to Jersey and makes the headache go away. So
but it's not premeditated. It's not anything to do with. It's just business.
It's just like most of the time they don't even know the people that they're targeting. It's like they get a job to go and they do what they got to do and they come home.
Way different circumstances.
These individuals are driven by a compulsive need to institute fear.
Now let me ask you a question, Pete. This is a personal question. Hopefully you don't have to edit it out. but like having interactions, for over 2 decades with these type of people,
Sure.
And being around all types of different people, from fraudsters to just the amount of people that are in the facility that you were at, or several different facilities. Would the people like the Israel Keys be looked at way different than the mob guys?
There were very few individuals like that.
Like Israel
in general population.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the mob guys, I don't want to say, their killings are transactional. They're not personal. They're not to exert power other than their family of.
Yeah, they're resolving it for whatever dispute resolution.
Right. Has nothing to do with calling their wives up and making them any more mentally messed up.
No. There wasn't any of that.
No, it was just a boom, boom, boom. And so did you ever have any interactions with any of these kind of whack jobs?
They don't hit the general population. I can say certainly within the Italian Jewish bar, that man would never walk the yard.
Never.
Quite frankly, within the Caucasian group of prisoners, like the whites, whether it be any of the prison gangs or just the independents that are just part of like the woodpile, they call themselves.
Right.
They wouldn't accept this guy.
So they got keys.
Mm-hmm.
Feds take him to Alaska. He makes these demands. Give me the
Americano, the Snicker, and the cigar.
What's an Americano?
Coffee.
Oh, okay. So give me a badass coffee, like probably Starbucks quality, some kind of $high coffee.
Or whatever.
A Snickers, which I love Snickers, by the way, and a cigar. Sure. I'm not a cigar guy. So they're like, no problem. He tells them where the body.
He tells them about what happens with Samantha.
Mantesuka Lake.
Yeah, I can't pronounce.
Yeah,
it.
I think it's Mantesuka Lake.
Yeah, so he says he explains what happens, and tells them how he disposed of the body, and he lays down a condition. He tells the prosecutor, look, he will lay out all the information concerning. He says there's not 12, 11 is what he said.
But at this point,
but they only know about the one.
They only know Samantha. That's right. All they know.
And he says, but I'll tell you about the other ones. However, he's insisting upon receiving the death penalty. And he doesn't want the information disclosed, and he wants to be unalive within a year. Like, he doesn't want to spend a whole bunch of time.
No appeal, no.
So I
mean, if there's anything that we can admire about this guy, which I use that term loosely, is I appreciate the fact that he doesn't want to use the judicial system as a weapon like most guys do and go 22 years. Yeah, he's like, no nonsense. Let's get this done. I'm a scumbag.
He's going to lay this out.
That's the only thing so far.
He'll stipulate to it, and he can elect not to appeal.
Right, sure.
So if he elects not to appeal, he elects not to pursue post-conviction litigation, well, it'd be challenging to get him unalive within a year.
Yeah.
But within 2 years. Certainly.
Sure.
And so he starts laying out the information. He tells them about everything that happened with Samantha.
Right. And then he gives them some Easter eggs that there's a whole bunch of others.
A bunch of others. He tells them about the kits all over the country. So now they're like, look, this is a whole other level.
Yeah, they're thinking we got A, and really they got B, C, D, E, F, G, and H.
Sure.
Right?
Yes, and he's, of course, explaining that, look, he robbed these 25 to 30 banks. Like this time period, like sometime in 2005, I got one over here in New York. I got one. So he's just laying it out. So now, of course, it's an enormous undertaking for the FBI.
Because they have to go and...
Well, certainly they have resident offices all over the country. But, so they'll call this guy in New York. He'll run over there.
But what started as maybe a single unliving is now turning into a shitstorm.
Yes, right. It's a shitstorm.
It's a shitstorm.
Yes. And, well, of course, and the focus of the attention oftentimes turns against the authorities. Like, why didn't you stop this earlier? So now it becomes...
So they're kind of defensive at the point. Because people are like, hey, man, what's going on? Mm-hmm. So when do we find out about...
During the course of his investigation, he refers to the incident in Vermont.
Right. Which happened a year prior.
Which happened just the year prior.
So we're 12.
Yes.
When he's, getting questioned by
interrogated by the authorities.
For Samantha. Mm-hmm. We're in 12. As he's running through his various, unliving and kits and all this kind of bank robbery.
Dangling. He tells them about the robberies. He tells them about the kits. But he's just dribbling out the information on the unalivings. and the same manipulative type gang that, for whatever reason, he's deriving some sense of thrill from. And even the investigators later on, when they appeared on several of these documentaries about the individual, said like whenever he would discuss the underlying, he'd be sitting at the edge of his seat, he'd be all excited. You could see the adrenaline flowing, and like for him, it's able. These guys.
It was his only way to get off. Still,
yeah.
It was his only. And again, he's a manipulative piece of shit. Yeah. So he wants to make a game of this.
Yeah, and so now he discusses what happens with.
And really, it's the only power he has left, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
And so, on the one hand, it's interesting because he wants to protect his daughter from the activity. But on the other hand, he's, unaliving Samantha in the shed on property and his kids in the house.
Right. And takes her on vacation. Right after he did it.
Yes. He had the 10-year-old girl with him when he was doing on the 10 freeway.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
So when he was on his spree,
he's taking her with
in the white Ford Focus.
Yes.
She's with.
Yes.
I did not know that.
No, there's
So when they take him down, they have to separate him and her, send her back home.
Child Protective Services, I'm sure, to contact either the girlfriend or perhaps the biological mother.
Right. So, I'm sorry, buddy, you don't your kid to know, but you got in on it a little bit.
You got a car with money saturated with
dye
pack, explosive taint, and
so the feds got him under the French fry lots. They're talking to him. He's throwing these little nuggets. He's still being manipulative, playing the power broker game, playing games. He tells them about the
Vermont Institute. So now he says, hey, look. So he tells them flies from Anchorage to Chicago, rents the car. In the midst of one of his robbery sprees, he's in Vermont, and he just randomly sees this couple.
Bill and Lorraine.
And so now he sees them.
He just sees them.
Yes. So he watched them because he doesn't have the daughter with him, and he's comfortable, rural environment, and he spots them. He sees that they don't appear to have any visitors. They live alone, a little bit of a secluded area. He identifies a abandoned warehouse/farmhouse nearby. He goes to Bill and Lorraine's, breaks in, kidnaps them. In the course of that break-in, he recovers a firearm from the home, obviously Bill's firearm.
Sure.
So now he takes them with the firearm he recovered from the house, takes them to the farmhouse/warehouse, wherever the hell he's going, the structure that he uses to do what he does. When he gets there, he separates them, takes the husband off, and just may have been some kind of subterranean room, characterized as a basement, and takes down there. And of course, he's like, "What are you doing? Where's my wife? I want to see my wife." According to Keith, it triggers anger in him, so he unalives the husband.
Right there.
With his firearm.
Right. With Bill's own gun.
Yeah. So he unalives the husband, goes back to Lorraine.
And like he said, that triggered his the husband's sense of urgency or scaredness or
because up until this point, he's not emotional. And that's one of the characteristics that define him, a trait that defines him from the other individuals that are exhibiting some type of anger issues in conjunction with their need to have control and domination. Whereas he's the methodical, non-emotional.
Cool in the pocket, so to speak.
So when he does what he, unalives Bill, and he goes and restrains Lorraine.
Assaults her and then unalives her.
Well, but before he unalives her, he spends his time assaulting her. And then he takes her, escorts her over to where her husband was and says, "Look, there's your husband."
He just wants to exert power again.
And, of course, and
install fear.
And so now now at this point, she knows that her husband's unalive. He's obviously deceased there. And then he takes a rope and asphyxiates her. It's like why didn't you just, look, he shouldn't have obviously done any of this.
Why couldn't you have done it in way less of a barbaric manner?
That's what I'm saying.
Like you did Bill.
Yeah.
It's way more instant and.
Yeah, not just and so now with the.
Again, it's the inner psychological.
It's the depravity of his conduct.
We can't comprehend because we can't comprehend.
And,
Like we can't, we sit here befuddled because we can't comprehend.
Yeah.
The just sickness. We've both done stupid shit in our life that we're not proud of, but we're fundamentally not sickly wired that way.
And so he unalived both of the Bill and Lorraine.
And that was a year before Samantha.
Yeah, so now he provides this information to the FBI during the course of his interrogations post Samantha arrest. Now, what complicated the investigation was after he unalived them, he took them, camouflaged some kind of a tarp, kind of a
Bill and Lorraine.
Yeah, to carpeting, whatever the hell he used, like to roll her up. And he hid the bodies amidst like this warehouse shed type structure along with a lot of other debris. Well, a few months after the unaliving, that structure was torn down.
Some construction guys
they came in
with
they
an
tore
excavator
down,
and just
got rid of everything, including
the bodies. Sure.
So they were never able to recover the bodies. So now the authorities, in the course of their investigation in Vermont, they were able to determine that, these guys the two people are missing.
Yeah, because...
But they weren't able to recover it. But they were able to, this guy's, Key's admission ties him in with these two missing individuals.
But they never did find bodies on them.
They never did. So now that information goes from the FBI, gets transmitted to the local police officials in
Vermont,
that particular Vermont, with the understanding that do not disclose this information publicly because this guy's providing information under the condition that the information doesn't get disclosed to the media.
So the Vermont officials can't go and talk to the guys who excavated the area.
Well, no, they interviewed them. They were determined that the excavation debris went to this particular dump site. So now they're conducting their investigation at that dump site, but it wasn't disclosed publicly that the case has been solved.
Sure.
Problem for the feds in Alaska, however, is once that information was shared with the local authorities in Vermont, somebody in the police department leaked it to the local TV station.
So now
that information gets publicized that the case has been cracked, the case has been resolved.
They found out who killed Bill and Lorraine.
They got Israel Keys' name publicly disclosed from Alaska, and this is the circumstances.
So this is a shitstorm for the feds.
No, it's a problem for the feds because that information gets released publicly. Keys discovers that it was.
And so he's probably full hot. He's full hot.
He shuts down all more any additional conversation.
So anything they were going to get post Bill and Lorraine because they were playing by his terms.
Yes.
When there's a breach, now he's like.
Yeah, because for him, you have to understand, his goal, in addition to his psychological gamesmanship, was to expedite the implementation of a death sentence.
Right, of him being gone.
Well, him laying out the circumstances surrounding numerous other events was going to result in him being charged in multiple venues. He's going to spend 3, 4, 5, 6 years going through pre-trial proceedings. Got to go to Vermont, get charged. Got to go over here and get charged. Well, he didn't want to spend a decade
of traveling to be,
from county jail to county jail dealing with these different prosecutions. So now he shuts up.
Because they against their word. I mean, right?
Well, they shared the information with local law enforcement. The feds didn't.
Right. I mean, it wasn't the feds' fault.
Yeah.
It was the local guy.
Some knucklehead in Vermont.
Did they ever find out who the knucklehead was?
Just some guy. Detective leaked it to his buddy.
So at that point, does that complete the process here with regards to the reason why they believe that there's 11 more, but he's mad.
He's shut down at this point. And now during the course of the pretrial proceedings in Alaska, he realizes now he's in a really bad spot. During one of the court hearings, tries to engineer an escape. He was able to slip. And to this day, they don't understand how he did it. But he was able to get out of he was able to disentangle the cuffs that the ankle cuffs.
Sure. And on the federal level, when you're a guy of that type of danger, I mean, they leg shackle you.
In pretrial proceedings, you're going to be leg shackled because there isn't a jury. It's only in front of a jury.
In front of a jury, must you not look like they try to put a nice shirt on you and they not right?
Or if they are going to leg shackle you, they're going to have a cloth over the table.
Yes. Right.
But this is a pretrial hearing, and it's
just
in front of a
judge.
Yeah. But he's able to slip out of them, jumps into the alley, trying to get his way out.
Oh.
People are screaming, yelling, and of course you got the
local.
Her father.
Oh yeah,
Samantha's father and all they're all the civilians like, get him, kill him.
How far does he get?
He doesn't make it out of the courtroom because the marshals are able to attack him. They taser him.
And they have no idea how he got out.
No idea how he got out. So now they take him back to the pretrial detention facility and they put him in segregated housing. I'm sure he was already in segregated housing, but now he was, in segregated housing because he harmed a young female. Guys like that have a hard time in prison.
Right.
And so now the individual, he's in the shoe, and somehow, when you're in the shoe, you're limited in what you're going to be able to have. So your escapes are like, what was this scumbag? Epstein. He was in the shoe.
Oh, he was?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because those guys are either suicide risks or now he's a documented escape risk.
Right.
And so they have him in the shoe, and much to the surprise of the authorities, he was somehow able to secure a razor, which is something you should never have in the shoe.
Yeah, from all the movies and stuff that I watch, documentaries, what have you, like the shoe, like you're allowed maybe your clothes and like that's it.
Yeah, you'll get like a rubber pen, like these little pens like this long, and they're rubber.
Right.
And you'll get like sheets of paper.
But like you're not going to get a shaving kit, or you're not going to get anything that you can whittle down to and like it's highly regulated, right?
Sure, yes.
So he somehow got a razor in there.
Able to get a razor into the shoe.
Now, how would that have happened, Pete?
Usually an orderly.
Okay. Yeah. Guy that's cleaning at night, or a guy that's
responsible for sweeping and mopping the hallway,
bringing the food.
No, the officers deal with it.
Officer bring the food. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you have an orderly in there passing out toilet paper, dropping off the laundry bags.
Sure.
That the officer would then open the door, and so the again, no speculation, but it's pretty informed speculation. So what's irrefutable is the fact that he had a razor blade, and so he created a contraption where, to facilitate his suicide, he laid out on his bed, took a kind of like almost like how Epstein was able to engineer his suicide.
Right.
Took a sheet and he tied it to his ankle. So he's laying on the bed with the sheet tied to his ankle.
Right. Like he's almost hog-tied almost.
Yes. He's got his foot up. He's got his legs up. And he's writing out what's his death note. They characterize it as manifesto. It's just like a 3-page scribe. But in there, he has a pentagram with 11 skulls.
On his final
note. So he's making statements like, we're all together now. So it's like him, and that's why the authorities are saying he had definitively said it. It wasn't 12.
When he was talking. And
now, so they've got 2 data points. Now they got the suicide note with the skulls depicted on there, and some pretty hackneyed poetry he was trying to write. And he set it up to where he slices his wrists, and he had these little milk containers. You get like little cartons of milk.
Yeah.
And he used that to collect the blood.
His own blood.
So he slices his wrist. He's collecting his blood. He's on the bed. He's got the sheet tied around his neck.
To his leg.
And tied to his ankle. Because once he blacks out from the blood loss, the leg is going to drop. And when it drops, it's going to asphyxiate. So sure.
Wow. Yeah. All I can say is wow.
Yeah. And I was reading like, wow, this is bizarre.
And borderline brilliant. I mean, I love it because he unalived. I mean, a bad person was able to unalive himself, and I have no problem with that.
No tears lost over that. But I mean,
appeals.
It's challenging to unalive yourself in the shoe.
Yeah,
because
it's so controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Don't they have surveillance too?
Not in the cells. Like for when we were pre-trial, they put cameras into 2 shoe cells for Kaczynski, who was the Unabomber.
Right.
And so he's the only inmate that I knew, or at this point, pretrial detainee, who was under 24-hour surveillance simply because he's such a high-profile prisoner.
Was he was he a very sick man?
No. He was, obviously he was sick for the conduct that he engaged in, but in the limited interactions I had with him.
I knew that you had some interactions with him.
He was quiet, soft-spoken. He'd shoot me some books, anything to read. Like I grabbed a book for him, and it was just like John Grisham crap. And he's like, and so I went and I got a couple of my books. I gave him 2 of the books that I had to read, and later on I shot him one of my philosophy books. And
wow.
He got transferred before, and that was...
So Israel unalived himself.
Yeah, so he collects the blood.
That's
a contraption to
choke himself out.
To ensure he asphyxiates.
Like a self-choking gimmick.
Yes. And the shoe officer, while making rounds, once he unalived himself, he's still draining blood.
Right. He only captured so much
captured so much of it. And so the officer making his rounds saw the red liquid on the floor.
Right.
Now, Keys is underneath his sheet, like he's on the bed, underneath his blanket. But he's just laying there at this point because his foot dropped. He's choked.
Right. He's done.
And so the officer, of course, once he sees the blood, he hits deuces. He calls for medical. He calls for, additional backup. And they raid the cell and determined that he's unalived. And so he took the information with respect to the specifics to the grave. Now, he had mentioned the fact that between 2001 and 2005, there were 5 people he unalived in Washington. And on 2 of them, similar situation to Bill and Lorraine, he snatched them up, did what he did, and then he anchored the bodies and disposed of them in a lake.
That was 5.
There was 2 of the 5 that were out in Washington.
Right.
But again, the authorities have been able to, in the context of their investigation, identify people that are saying, okay, he said he did this in Kentucky. Well, there was a bank robbery, and coincidentally, during that same time period,
there was a
person, Erica comes up missing.
Right.
And so there was a number of these circumstances they were able to put a missing person in proximity
with a bank robbery
and him being in the area.
Right. So through travel records, through bank robberies, and through missing persons, you said they were able to piece together probably 11?
They said, well, he implied there were 11 during the conversations. You had the 11 skulls in the suicide note. And from the authorities in the course of their investigation, they were able to identify a number of individuals that coincided with his travels that were missing. And so Keys was able to exploit the fact that there isn't a national uniform missing persons database.
Right.
He was able to capitalize on the fact that he didn't have a specific geographical area.
Oh, he was kind of hit and go.
That's right.
It's so much harder to probably find the bad guy you're looking for when he's nowhere to be found. He is so geographically gone.
Sure.
So he's not continuing to live in the community, continuing not to put little Easter eggs out there.
Yeah, and he didn't, and unlike the other individuals, the other couple of scumbags, he wasn't communicating with the press.
No.
He wasn't, he was monitoring the investigations. Sure. Later on, you were able to determine through his searches, his online searches, but there wasn't like
Gilgo picked up the phone, called the sister.
Calling the sister,
and
or
then
D'Angelo was calling the newspapers or calling the other police departments. And so he was very dispassionate.
When we talk about Israel Keys, one of the things we during the Samantha situation is that's kind of where he made his first mistake in the protocol that he usually held himself accountable to. And in fact, in my notes that you'd get me, the demanding ransom, the using the debit card, which allowed him to go on the spree, that kind of was all kind of it's sloppy for him.
Yes.
If you will. I think the ransom, the taking the picture of her, and then that got him too far down the road of getting caught, meaning if he would have done a hit and go there, he might have had a better, they may not caught him as soon. I think let's be honest, they caught him because he was using Samantha's debit card. And had he not, if he just did a hit and run there, and then unalived her and the bad things that he did, I think the Samantha case is what he got sloppy on.
Yes.
And why he got caught. Thank God.
Good. Yes. In fact, that's during the course of his interviews, while he was discussing, he said he came up with a new plan where he was going to start following climate-related disasters. And so, like, the next time there was a Hurricane Katrina,
or tornado
or thing, yeah. So he was, because remember, he was a construction worker, so he was able to say, look, I'm going to go out to Kansas, I got a job. So nobody was ever suspicious with him. So if there's a tornado ransacking through,
well, a lot of my guys became independent wealthy on Hurricane Andrew that hit Homestead.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bunch of guys up here that had construction companies with excavators and bulldozers. They became independently millionaires by going down to Homestead and getting government contracts to clean X amount of neighborhoods, and it was name your price back then. So and then yet other sick but brilliant move is you follow natural disasters.
Yeah, because it was going to provide the camouflage he needed to be able to
be in the area.
So he laid out, this is what I've been working on right now, had you guys not arrested me.
Yeah. So he actually told him what his next MO was going to be.
Yes, because he was, in the course of dribbling out information, he was keeping them on the hook, but just giving them breadcrumbs.
Right.
But he enjoyed the dynamic of interaction.
Until the breach in Vermont.
Until the breach of Vermont, yes.
He hard telling what we would have found out. God, you know what I love about this, Pete, and this podcast, Deadly Intentions, is that you find these cases that are so sick, and in some cases more so sick and demented than the ones that we publicly know about that the media, for whatever reason, takes an interest in. And you find these cases that we really don't know a lot about, but are so demented and so deep with sickness and psychological power, and just, it's unbelievable. And I can't thank you enough for all the research that you do and how knowledgeable you are.
Thank you.
Which I think makes for a great podcast. Anyway, the podcast is Deadly Intentions with Pete, starring Pete, and I'm just a tag along, and where we break some of these lesser known, very, very, very sick and demented people with deadly intentions. But with regards to that, we're gonna talk about other things. It's just not always going to be about serial killers. It's going to be about just the world. We could get into some cartel drug trafficking stuff. We could get into some money laundering stuff. We could get into life inside of the penitentiary. There's a whole protocol with regards to that. I talked to Pete one time 3 hours and was just amazed by what car he was in and some of the things that he was able to do. And so appreciate you sitting through this. I hope that you learned something. I'm Bubba. He's Pete. This is Deadly Intentions. Look forward to seeing you next time.